Came from all the way down there, all the way up, and here. We have arrived in Plovdiv, and not only have we arrived in Plovdiv, we've arrived in Plovdiv like an hour or so early, which means it's not even 6 o'clock yet. So originally it was our plan to travel overnight so we could arrive in the morning and have had, you know, some sleep and just, you know, after we arrive get some breakfast and just take our time. It's 6:30. We found where we're staying and we've dropped our bags off, but we can't go in. We're not very far from the old town, so we're heading that way. Although yesterday we spent most of the day in a bit of a daze because I was exhausted, so we just kind of walked around the city a bit. In the evening we went out for food, but the two main veggie and vegan restaurants in this city are both shut for their owners' holidays, so it's really bad timing because they both had quite nice reviews, didn't they?
Shame.
So I'm quite disappointed that neither of them will be providing us any food at any point. So we're kind of going to be relying on finding vegan stuff in just average, like day-to-day restaurants, which is fine. We do that quite a lot anyway.
Yeah, it's just sometimes.
It's just kind of nice to sometimes go somewhere where you know you can eat everything, but that's fine. And now we're just on our way to the town centre because we're going to go on a free walking tour, which I'm looking forward to. I think we saw some of it yesterday as we were walking around, but it'll be nice to hear a bit more about each of these places and learn a bit more about them. Yeah, and it's not too hot yet either.
No, it's getting hot late in the afternoon.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon it was boiling, but the morning was alright, so I think now it's probably a good time to do that anyway, before lunch, and then we'll do something else after lunch. Yeah. Behind me is the old Roman theatre, and it wasn't rediscovered until the mid-70s, so it was hid under all this dirt in history for literally hundreds of years before it was rediscovered. And apparently it was rediscovered by an old man who was just digging in his garden, and he ended up hitting upon the ruins. So of course, as soon as he reported it, he was asked to move house, and they started digging the whole thing up. Apparently there's a saying in Plovdiv that if you dig anywhere, you are going to find a piece of old history. So people are wary about digging in their gardens just in case they dig something up and then they have to move house and give away whatever they found in the ground to the city. Anyway, so we've decided to come into the theatre and have a look around because apparently it's one of the best preserved old Roman theatres. Yeah, it's got a capacity of 6,000 people. Which way are we going to go first? This way? Straight down. And one of the interesting things that we've learned today is that you could tell the population of any old Roman city by looking at its theatre, because its theatre had to be able to hold 10% of the population, and any old stadiums had to be able to hold up to 50% of the population. and because this can hold 6,000 people, we know that at the time of its being built, Plovdiv already had 60,000 people living here. Wow, it's really cool.
See the statues up there?
Yeah. It's amazing some guy used to live above this. The other things we found out about this theatre is that it's actually still being used fairly regularly for lots of concerts and stuff. In fact, the guy who was giving us our tour earlier said he came here to watch Sting, and he was saying that the acoustics on this stage are amazing because it's actually built between two mountains or two hills, and so it just really elevates the acoustics. And obviously Roman theatres were built in this way anyway, so that the acoustics were good. It's really cool. Come back to the old stadium to have a look. We saw it from above on our tour, but we didn't go down at all. Oh, is this the right way? Yeah. Now we're coming in. The walls behind me are actually a reconstruction of the original fortification walls, which were up to 3 meters thick and 15 meters high, so they were super worried about their security and were super prepared for anything. But then this is the kind of the entrance into the stadium. And we were told that actually the whole of the stadium is still intact, but it's all underneath the main pedestrian shopping street. So when they excavated this part, there wasn't much on here. There was a house, but they got rid of that. But to excavate the rest of the stadium, they'd have to literally knock the street down. And they don't really have the money for that or any way of doing it, and I don't think local people would be too happy to have all their shops and businesses pulled down. So instead we've got this, and here's what it would have looked like. H&M, we're going to go and do a bit of shopping. No, we're not. We're actually going inside H&M because in the basement there's something really interesting to see, so we're going to go and go and see it. So down here in H&M is actually part of the old stadium. So here is the seating going down, and then behind us is the main street where the main track would have been. And so below all of these shops on the high street are bits of the stadium, which is really cool. So there's a couple of other shops in the town where you can go in and see bits of the stadium as well. But this is the main reason why they can't knock the street down now, because there's just so many established businesses. So that's the way to see little bits of the stadium. I thought it was going to be a bit of a walk to get to the top of the hill, but once you're by the ethnographic museum you're practically there. You just follow the road up and here we are. Not very far at all. We've come to the end of our time in Plovdiv, and I think we've both really enjoyed it. It's the second biggest city in Bulgaria, but it doesn't feel particularly massive. I think the kind of the centralised area of the city and the old city are all quite close, aren't they? But I think you don't feel kind of the vastness of the area. But it's really, really cool with all of the old Roman ruins just everywhere. Just everywhere you go, you're kind of walking down the street and you're like, oh, there's some more Roman ruins, and that's really cool. It's really interesting. The old city is beautiful. All these gorgeous old buildings and the cobbled streets and the history of the area is really, really interesting. So it's a really nice place to come and spend a few days. And so we're finishing here, and then tomorrow morning we are moving on to the next town. Hopefully we'll see you there.